Hey friends, we are Sarájanée and Annacrizelda, and this is Everything and No Less, the podcast where your favorite long distance best friends talk about everything. From women's sports to Marvel movies to things we love, things we hate, and everything in between. Welcome! This week, we are reflecting on Anna getting her screen time under control. We're also talking about Sarájanée revisiting an old hobby, baking. Then we're delving into some notes and thoughts on adult friendship, including resentment in friendships and relationships, whether friends who playfully insult each other are more honest and loyal, and how you should make good friends because good friends make you. Then we delve into our recurring segment, This Week in Women's Sports. Thanks for listening.
Hello, hello. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm so good.
You've got
Chilling.
that, I feel like you have that post move glow that, like, I'm unpacked, I'm vibing in my new house, I
Vibing,
survived. I love it.
I love it.
I'm on the opposite
Surviving.
end.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
I'm like, maybe not opposite, but I'm at that point where no matter how much I packed, it's never
It's
enough.
more.
And there's more stuff, right? You try to do the sorts and the purges, but we're going to get through it one way or
It's
another.
it's like the room of requirement in Harry Potter
Mm-hmm.
where like it just keeps multiplying and you're like, a friend said to me one time that moving is such a mind it's a mind fuck because you
Mm-hmm.
go through every day thinking that you have precisely what you need. You
Mm-hmm.
have only what you need. And then when you start to pack it, you're like, I have lived like a hoarder for the entirety of my life.
The whole time. Yeah, there are things that it's like, I'm pretty sure I got rid of that. And then also, by virtue of it being summer, of course, I have a couple of Christmas lights from our wall Christmas tree, you may remember. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, why do I still have those? Well, obviously, I still have them because why would I rebuy them every year? But right now, they feel excessive.
They
They
feel
feel
excessive.
silly. They feel really, really silly.
It always makes me think of those people on social media who are like, I only own 15 things and they like fit in a backpack. And I
Hmm.
always have the idea that I could do that. I could do that if I wanted to. And then when I move, I'm like, there is no world in which that is possible for me.
It takes so much to keep my ship afloat. I cannot do it.
So much equipment. Okay? Like, I feel like I am the equivalent of a small circus moving through this world. The apparatuses that I require, it's so
Right.
much. It's
And
so
they're like,
much.
and some of them are necessary. I have to have the heating pad. Okay. I have to have
I have to
multiple
have
ice
it.
packs. Okay. They are essential to life. Maybe not every day, but often. And when they're needed, they've got to be available on demand.
Often and essential.
Often and essential. I love that. That needs to
Hmm.
be, that's a merch right there. That's a t shirt.
There are very few things that are often and essential,
Right.
but the things that are in that category are very important. The heating pad being one.
Yes. Yes. Agreed. Okay. But what have you been thinking about this week? What have you had going on?
Well, Sarajane, I finally got my screen time under control. Okay.
That's incredible. Mm-hmm.
We're not going to, so I refused to look at the numbers beforehand of what I was spending scrolling on my phone because I knew I would just spiral about it. But I downloaded this app called Screen Zen. This is not sponsored. It's called Screen Zen. And all it does is you code certain apps to it, right? So for me, it's Instagram, YouTube, and Safari. And all it does is it prompts you before you continue opening the app to take a deep breath. And I have found that's the smallest amount of friction between opening an app and starting to scroll or like Googling something random. It has introduced this like pause that has
Mm-hmm.
helped me be like, oh, I don't really need to open this right now. And there are times where I do need to open Instagram, right? Like, for example, to post about our wonderful pod and to advertise our wonderful guest spot we had last week. But I can do that mindfully, right? Like, I can go into the app with this idea that I'm going to post about this and then I'm going to close the app.
Mm-hmm.
And where it has been really impactful is Safari. So the reason I put it for Safari is because I often like will just fill up shopping carts on Nordstrom.com and other websites. just for fun, just for kicks, you know. And I found that that was perhaps not a good use of my time. But you know, Safari is like the default Internet Explorer on the phone. And so what it has also introduced is this element of I can't just Google random things. So, for example, we were listening to this playlist, and this shows you what a little emo kid I was back in high school. We were listening to this old playlist in the car, and Good Charlotte came on. You know the band Good Charlotte. Very emo core. And, you know, my husband said, wasn't the lead singer of this band dating Cameron Diaz at one point? And I pulled out my phone. I was like, let me see. And then it prompted me to take a deep breath. And I was like, this is not information I need. This is not information I need to store. This is a question that I can just be allowed to wonder about. And it made me think about how when we were like in high school before we had smartphones, we would have questions and we would just have to wonder about them.
Right.
We would have to be like, oh, I guess I'll never know that, or I don't need to know that, or I'll think about it for 5 minutes and it'll go out of my head. I think information is too accessible. Like,
Yes.
something.
And even,
Yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, even if you don't, or if you learn the wrong answer, like maybe you're with a classmate or friend and they tell you, no, they never, or he never dated or married Cameron Diaz, right? Like the world doesn't end. That's not something that you actually have to know or have to know accurately, right? And just to your point of information being too accessible, I think it also means that you have more access to actually actively harmful information that's inaccurate, like inaccurate or very wrong.
Incorrect,
So
malicious information. Yeah.
right. And so bring back wonder, the room to wonder
Bring
and not
back
know.
wonder. Yeah. What happened to wondering? Just wonder about it.
I'm very excited and proud of your screen time control, and
Thank
I'm
you.
going to try screens in. That sounds beautiful. Just a moment to pause, make a different choice, or again, with like act with intention. Like, yes, I'm going onto Instagram and I know why right now. I will say I understand your rationale, but I think it's a little wild that you're still using Safari. I've heard that they've made browser improvements, but I thought we were all downloading Google Chrome app on our
Were
phones
we?
these days.
Wait, I didn't know that. Are you serious?
That's what I thought. Perhaps I've been wrong. If you're listening, please let us know in the comment. Tell me if I am the only person that abandoned Safari and never looked back. I thought we would.
Well, I'll just wonder about that as I
Exactly.
use Safari. I will say, we were in the grocery store and I forgot what kind of like noodles I needed for a dish, and so I pulled my phone out. And that was a situation where I actually did need the answer, like, because I was standing in the grocery store. And, you know, me and my husband are both looking at my phone and watching it tell me to take a deep breath. I was like, why don't you take a deep breath with me? And he was not having it. He was like, absolutely
Pull up the
not.
noodle.
Pull up the noodle right now.
No, that's real. That's how I used to feel and probably still do about like the Apple Watch. If your heart rate or something was getting too high, it would like notify you, calm down. And that used to feel very condescending. Don't tell me to calm down. I have a reason for being this upset right now. Okay, even though I'm at rest. The people are
Right?
trying me. So I get it.
I had an Apple Watch for like 5 minutes, and like I swear it told me to stand up, that I'd been sitting too long, and I took it off and never put it back on. I was like, don't tell me what to do. And that's why I can't have an Apple Watch.
It's very reasonable. Very, very reasonable.
What have you been thinking about this week, Sarájanée?
So, building off of our conversation with Sarah, I wanted to revisit a former hobby. When I was in grad school, I spent a lot of time baking, trying different recipes, family recipes, dairy-free baking recipes, etc. And for Juneteenth, I wanted to make a lemon pound cake. Bakers will know, depending, like for me at least, it feels like if I go a while without baking, it can take a little while to kind of get the technique back, especially if you're in a different climate, humidity, all of that. But nailed my lemon pound cake yesterday. I'll send you a picture. Maybe we can insert there. The texture was delicious. The flavor was lovely. Like I feel like I just drew upon all of the elders. Miss Dorothy was a wonderful baker at my childhood church, and everybody loved her pound cake on Sunday events. I feel like her spirit was up in me. My grandmother, who taught me how to bake, they all just came along and touched me. And so, thinking about hobbies, revisiting that one, was exciting and having success, but also just like we talked about last time, just in the process, setting it up, experimenting, detaching from like, hey, if it turns out great today, wonderful. If not, this is still peaceful and relaxing to just focus in on this cake right now. So that's my hobby follow-up.
I love that.
Loved it. Loved it.
Baking is that is such it's like a scientific hobby, I feel like. You have to be so accurate with your measurements and like the timing and all of it. And I know this because I am a terrible baker. I'm
Disagree.
horrible. I'm so
Disagree.
bad at it.
Disagree.
It is not good. I'm good at cooking. I'm a good cook, but the baking, I can't do it.
Your biscuits, that's baking. Beautiful.
Oh,
You've
that
made
is
beautiful
true.
cakes.
I love
Like,
those.
yeah, no, I disagree. I think
A
you're a great
couple
baker.
things I can do, but
Yeah.
more often than not, it does not turn out the way that I envision it.
I also feel like that's because you're going after like super ambitious recipes because you
know.
are an ambitious person. Like bagels are hard for everybody.
That's true. Those bagels were sad.
But I don't think that's a reflection on you. That's just like the technique. There's a reason bagel shops have extensive training that they give their employees and all of
It's
that
an art.
machinery and equipment. Speaking of art, I still feel like baking is it's a beautiful blend of like science and art. You have to be precision and then you like get to create something that's beautiful, tasty, lovely. Love it.
If I was on British Bake Off, I would be eliminated in week 1.
Yeah, I'm not lasting.
Week 1. The pressure.
I can't deal with the rushing, the time. No.
Time.
I have to, it's too much. I need time to prep all of my ingredients, review my recipe, my upcoming steps. I can't. Everybody around me, the stimulation, I'm out of there.
The fact that we're outside in intent and not inside. I always thought that was an unnecessary element. I'm like, why does it have to be thunderstorming? Like, this is...
How hot is it in that tent with all of those ovens, all of those people? Mm-mm.
I can't.
And it's just the lack of choice. You're going to have me make a chocolate dessert. I don't want it. I don't want it.
That's true.
I'm not doing it.
That's true.
I understand it's supposed to be for other people, but I have to imagine that myself could enjoy it too to be fully invested. Like even when I bake chocolate chip cookies, I'm not going to eat them, but I do like the smell of chocolate chip cookies in the oven. And so that's the benefit that I get, right? But there's got to be something in it for me, selfish or not. It just does.
Is there a baked item that is kind of like your Mount Everest, like your thing that you want to like work up to baking?
Honestly, I think just consistently nailing like dairy-free baked goods that have the right texture and moisture was probably it. Like to consistently pull out and be like, I'm gonna make a dairy-free cinnamon roll and have no doubt that I'm gonna nail it. That's probably always hovering because I've had success with it, but it just varies. It's not consistent. So, yeah.
I just think that the nut milk industry needs to catch up with like, you know, like, 'cause I feel like that's what's really hard about dairy-free baking is like the variations you can get with like different nut milks. You know, like some of them are like nice, some of them are super watery. I'm like, this can't sub for milk. This is terrible.
No, we just need what we need. I agree. I agree. For sure.
Oh my gosh. So good.
Indeed. Okay, so over the last few days, we've seen a lot of things. Despite our screen time or your screen time control, I've done okay. Probably just avoidance, though. Doesn't really feel like control in the same way. We've seen a number of things, a number of, I guess, videos, clips, people talking about and reflecting on adult friendships, I would say. And I'm thinking we can dive into some of those. One of them I saw on Instagram, and it was a clip talking about how resentment emerges in friendships. And if you had a chance to look, I think that they were just talking about some of the ways that envy comes up, like through just comparisons with others, especially if it's a friendship where you've walked through multiple chapters of life and feel like you should be in the same place. I thought it was really, really interesting. What did you think? Or did you have a chance to check that out? And what did you think?
Not to make you paranoid, but sometimes the people who are closest to you can secretly resent you, whether that's a friend, a family member, or even a partner. And the weirdest part is they probably don't even realize it themselves. Secret animosity usually develops when someone is emotionally close to you, but they're internally conflicted about you. So, for example, they might really admire your confidence or your success, but deep down, this activates their insecurities, which they can't handle. This creates something what's known as cognitive dissonance, where they love you, but they feel threatened by you. And that tension, well, it leaks out in subtle ways. So you might notice it in small things like passive-aggressive humour or backhanded compliments, or there might be a really weird shift in energy when somebody pays you a compliment. But the biggest clue that someone has secret animosity towards you is actually how you feel when you're around them and after you spend time with them. Your body will often feel the disconnect before your mind does. You might feel unsure when you're with this person, or uneasy, or you just feel like there's a weird vibe, but you just can't quite put your finger on it. Or maybe you feel like you're even gaslighting yourself, that it's all in your head. But actually what's happening is your nervous system is picking up on their emotional incongruence, which is a very fancy way of saying they're not being genuine when they're around you. So here's the thing, secret animosity isn't always loud. In fact, it's often felt. And it all comes down to the person's low self-esteem, their envy, and their need to feel superior in a subtle way. To protect yourself from the haters, you don't necessarily need to call out their behaviour. You just need to put emotional boundaries in place. Your emotional boundaries might simply look like you not sharing as much, or you withdrawing from them, or just not getting caught up in their validation. And remember, while it might feel really, really personal, it never is. People who can't regulate their own shame, their own jealousy, and even their own insecurities will always try and disrupt yours. And that's not for you to carry. That's a them problem, not a you problem.
I did. I thought it was really interesting. I think that, like, you know, the thing that I love about videos like this is it often puts, like, language to things that I've only previously felt. Like, one of the things that I really appreciated about this creator was she was talking about how, first of all, I love her British accent. We love that.
We love it.
We love it. She was talking about how you often feel unsafe in your body around certain people before your brain can kind of put language to it. And I found that to be true, especially around friends and other people where I felt this kind of dynamic. Another point that stood out to me was that she was saying that it's not always conscious, right? Like, I've been in friendships and in dynamics where the compliments are they feel very backhanded, and it's kind of hard to, like, in the moment put like, you know, language to, like, why that feels so bad, because the words that they're saying are nice, but, like, something about the tone, something about, like, the energy around it makes it, like, not land well.
Not as sincere. You can, like, feel through the genuineness, totally. And to the point about the kind of body cues, I also appreciated them thinking or naming, I believe, how you feel afterwards. That's definitely something, a piece that's been helpful for me. I mean, we know I'm a sleepy girl, so I'm always tired, especially after any social interaction. But noting the difference of being, like, drained after being around certain people versus, like, okay, I'm a little tired because we were out, we were up, but, like, I feel joyful still, or I'm reflecting, and that was so funny. That was fun. There's a lightness, I think, like I would say when we hang out, right, that I'm so grateful to feel, versus when you're like, whew, okay, I'm glad that's done. That was draining. I feel worn out. Like, thinking about that as a body cue too.
I think that after you spend time with people who you love and you feel like you don't have this kind of, like, resentment in your dynamic, I feel a sense of fullness after I hang out with them, right? Like, you feel like how full your life is and how enriched your life is by virtue of the relationship existing.
Totally.
And so I think that has always been a big difference for me, because I definitely have gone through feeling drained. And I also think that, like, I was actually talking to Sarah about this the other week. Like, there are relationships in your life where people really expect you to stay the same.
Yes.
Right? There's something that they are benefiting from by you staying exactly who you were. and who you are. And maybe there's some kind of calibration happening, right? Like they are calibrating how well they are doing in their life based on where you are and how you're doing. And sometimes that means that they want you to be on the same level as them. And sometimes that means they want you to be beneath them, right?
Yes.
Because you were like, they felt you were beneath them at a certain point in their life, and they need to see that you're still not, you know, rising above them in any kind of way. And I feel like maybe a lot of that tension that you feel when you're with someone who's like, maybe you're outgrowing or you guys are growing apart, is like from, you feel them trying to keep you small. The stories they tell are embarrassing stories. The things that they say about you are trying to like keep you small, keep you in a certain box when you are, you know, we all are humans who are like growing and like trying to be better and trying to self-actualize out
Yes.
here, you know? Just
Right.
trying to self-actualize.
Right.
So I think
Absolutely.
the tension, yeah, can come from that too.
There, and I wonder, I think I've observed and probably in friendships felt it too, like people have an idea of what their life is going to look like, right? And they want you to be a part of it, but a part of it in a particular way. Like they want you to be marching the same or meeting the same steps in the same moments that they are. And so if you're not, then it like can come across as, or come through as like judgment. And even again, if it's well intentioned based on what they think you want, it's ultimately still rooted in like what they want, right? Like, oh, I want to be doing this step with my friend. We've like marched through these steps together so far in life. And so it's affirming for me if you're also doing them, or we can talk about them in the same way and relate, right? And then if one person, or you're not you specifically, I'm not, whoever isn't in that same place, then there can come across as criticism and like, you just need to do this so that you can have that and you can be here now. But really it's not about the other person being happy or fulfilled. It's like, no, I had this image in my mind of what this stage for me would look like, and I need you to do your part so I can like that can be met, right? Rather than like, as you said, we're all in different journeys, we're evolving. Life is going to do what it's supposed to. Things happen, and I believe the right timing for each of us, and that might mean we're moving through different phases in different places. But yeah, I think that can be a source of tension as well. And one that can probably be deep seated and like become harmful if it's not directly addressed, which I think can also happen in long term friendships and probably long distance one, just by virtue of not necessarily being together, having close points of contacts. But there can be a sense of like, okay, we're just going to let it go. We're just going to move on and it's fine. But I think if it's never directly addressed, then it just kind of sits there festering and like contributing to a sense of hurt that maybe also chips away at a sense of like closeness and intimacy and friendship.
Yeah, that's such a good idea. That's such a good point. Like I think that especially like you mentioned, like the chipping away, right? Like I think that when that happens, it can be really hard to name what's going on because it's so gradual. It's not something that happens. It's not like a big fight that happens all at once. You
Or
know?
just like any relationship, one or maybe both friends have like compromised in a way that isn't like healthy, and you're like, wait, who am I? How am I showing up here? Why don't I feel myself or something, right? And it's because there might be pieces of a relationship that you're grateful for, but all of the other stuff that's kind of in the muck or in the mud starts to cloud that as you're like trying to adjust to make things okay and to make them stay and like feel normal, right? Rather than like being able to lean into some radical trust of like, hey, I'm gonna be open about this. I'm gonna take a chance about this because I trust that we can handle it and we'll be able to resolve it, you know?
Right. Yeah, I think the point that the creator made, which I think you're also touching on, is like, who am I when I'm with you? Who do I feel like I have to be? Do I feel like I have to inhabit a certain identity? And I think where this has really brought a lot of tension in some of my friendships is like, do I feel like I have to inhabit a past self for us to be okay? Like, do I feel like I have to regress in some meaningful way to like be able to sit here and be with you? Do I have to be a past version of myself that I feel like I've grown out of? Or do I feel safe enough? And do I feel like your conception of me is expansive enough that I can be someone who is like becoming someone else or like just can be who I am in this moment?
Right.
you know?
Get to explore a little bit. Like, hey, this is a part
Yeah.
of myself I'm curious about and I want to like lean into. And like, can you give me some room to do that? You know, I think that's really interesting. And you were making a point earlier about the stories that come up, like how, you know, that speaks to the version of yourself. And that reminded me of, I think we both saw, like, there was a study or something that said, like, friends who playfully insult each other or kind of tease are slightly more honest and more loyal. And that's interesting because it's like such a fine line, I
It's a
think, right?
fine
It's
line.
such a fine line.
A new study finds that friends who often playfully insult each other are 300% more honest and loyal. Research shows that we should all absolutely relentlessly roast our friends. Contrary to popular beliefs, psychologists believe that friends who grill each other with frequent, good-natured jokes might have stronger friendships after all.
It's such a fine line, right? Because I think that, like, it's like, I feel like when you are teasing me, it is one of the most merciless things I've ever experienced. I think it's also because, like, you're so smart. So I feel like oftentimes you will, like, lead with, like, an observation about the world that will then lead. I can't think of an example right now.
Because it doesn't exist. I'm just kidding.
It happens, okay? No, but it's like about the place that it comes from, right? Like, it's about saying, I mean, like, it's about saying, like, oh, like, don't think that you're all that, because I know where you came from. I know how you used to be, versus like, remember that time? Like, you are all of, versus like, you are all of these versions of yourself in one, and you are like, you are a person I love all the way through, all the way down, you know?
Yeah, and I think to that point, it's also like the subject, the timing matters, right?
Right.
You know, I think there's something really special if you're having a hard time with some, like with in a moment or a phase, and when a friend can be like, well, listen, remember, you came through that in a kind of
Yeah.
teasing or joking way, and you're like, that's right, that's right. I've done this, I'm growing, I'm evolving, I'm gonna be okay, right? Kind of like a
Yeah.
keeper of memories, again, not in a way to leverage it against you, but to be like,
Right.
listen, you're doing great out here, okay, right? Like, you're doing good. Give yourself some time and laugh about it too.
Remember when we used to live in a room with a sink and no bathroom?
Yes. That was silly. Stay humble.
We made it through that.
Look how far you've come,
Look
right?
how far we've come. Okay. We
Exactly.
need recompense. That was not it was not good. It was
Also,
not good.
I just want the record to again show that Anna started by saying, you tease me mercifully. I can't think of an example, but
Do
it
you
happens.
think it's because it's so embedded in the way? That was good. That was good. I'll think of
That
an
was very good.
example. I'll think of an example.
But that was also a good example because you were like, oh, you're very smart and maybe a little evil, kind of crazy, but you
Okay,
were
I did not
framing
say
it with
evil.
that's how it landed. Okay, I feel like that was the subtext, which is wild. Okay, but I know that you love me, and so I'm gonna trust that was not true.
Oh my god.
We'll circle back on our next episode and see if Anna's come up with an example yet.
Oh my god. I'm gonna start keeping a little notebook.
Keep a tally.
And keep it down. Oh my gosh.
Very fair. That's very, very fair.
Another video that I saw that I think really resonated with me was this creator who was talking about the neuroscience of kind of like mirroring your friends.
Your brain is built to mirror the people around you. Emotionally, socially, even physiologically, we don't just hang out with people, we become people. Psychologists call it self-definition through close others, which, what is that? It means that the people that you feel close to, they actually help form your sense of self. And over time, their habits, values, humor, those things get stitched into you. Studies found that we don't just know our close people, we include them in our sense of self. They literally become part of how we see the world and how we see ourselves. Even neurologically, your brain's mirror neurons are always picking up what the people around you are doing and feeling. That's why your friend being calm can calm you down. Their courage can make you feel braver. Their softness makes you want to open up more. So your friends aren't really just your friends, they're also you, helping build your identity whether you know it or not. So this is the time to lock in and think, if you look around and aren't absolutely stoked at the people around you, you don't look and go, I cannot wait to be more like you. That's going to be a problem. And on the flip side, if you look around and are just in awe of the people around you, maybe you should thank them for what they're teaching you without even knowing it. So to my people, my goodness, thank you for making me better. I'm far too lucky. And also, you're welcome.
When I think about you, I am so proud to call you my friend, my best friend. Like, I'm like, yeah, that's my best friend. Like the Sweetie song, you know?
Yes.
That was going to be the title of our podcast, but someone took it. And if you are that person, you should relinquish
You're
it.
wrong.
You're wrong for that because it belongs to us. But I'm so proud to call you my friend. Like, I think that that is something that, you know, I've always had a lot of pride around. And you are just an awesome person. And if I can be more like you, then I would be very fortunate.
That's very, very sweet. And that's, I mean, of course, that's what I feel too. But I feel like getting to watch you evolve and move through life. It's so fun to genuinely celebrate and feel celebrated by you, right? I think that's a really special thing. Like, there's no caveats, right? It's not like, oh, she's decorated a beautiful room, I wouldn't do that because I wouldn't do X or whatever kind of thing. Like, I love to see you just be in your vibe and be in your lane. And thank you for saying that is what I was trying to mean.
But I do think that this also explains why, like, so sometimes, like, with friends that, like, I kind of feel like are maybe not the best for you, I kind of feel like a desire to, like, create emotional distance or, like, create sometimes physical distance or, like, you know, it often manifests for me in a way of being like, oh, I don't want to be like you, right? Like, I don't like how you handle this, like, certain situation. And I feel a very strong desire to distance myself from that. And I think it's maybe because our close friends, like, we mirror ourselves and we get a lot of our self-identity from, like, who they are. And so I think that that also helps explain why there sometimes comes a desire to create distance with certain people who are maybe falling out of friendship with us.
Yeah, I think that's totally right. Again, even in those ways where you can't totally name why you want to, but you're just, or for me in the past, it's felt like, oh, I think I'm going to give it a little moment before I respond to that text. And like, oh, you know, I'm not going to prioritize maybe like seeing that person this time, right? I think those are some of the ways that can show up too, right? Where it's like, maybe I just need to catch my breath and just see how things are playing out. But also some part of me is like, no, we don't want to get down like that. We don't want to endorse that. We don't want to take that on or kind of have it normalized. Even if like not like the party that's directly aggrieved or being involved or whatever, you can just kind of peep how someone's moving. It's like, don't love it. Don't love it. You got to do you. That's your choice. But
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't want that for me.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, you just, it's like how they're moving in the world is not something that like you're wanting to associate yourself with, or like it's not only how you would not handle the situation, it's also like counter to like maybe something you deeply believe, you know?
And being able to trust that like what you believe or what you feel is sufficient, right? And like, because it's always again that balance of how can I be open to other perspectives and other ways of viewing things and also not lose my core values, my sense of self, and my, you know, the version of myself that I'm striving to be, right? How do we not compromise all of those pieces? And kind of pivoting, but thinking of like one of the things that I've taken from you or taken on from you is just saying that's tight. I was talking to Aiden the other day and he said something and I was like, that's tight, that's tight. He was like, what? I was like, oh yeah, that's an Annaism, but it's tight. Good job.
There are so many things that are tight. You gotta name it. I love that.
So many.
I love that.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I was flipping between all four of those basketball games that were on the other night, and I was thinking of you. Also, WNBA, please, why? Why do you have to have all of them on
Why? At the same
at the
time or
same
within 30
time?
minutes of each
Like,
other?
they're all hitting halftime at the
What are
same
you
time. I
doing?
can't even watch one while the others are on half. They're all on halftime.
Even college will give you like a quarter by quarter kind of stagger,
Delay,
right? Which can be
yeah.
annoying too, because close games. But like you have a quarter to catch, or like 5 minutes, half of a quarter to catch when the first game you were watching goes to halftime. You're not going to convince me scheduling is this hard. You're not going to convince me.
It's unnecessary. I understand the MNBA are having
Ridiculous.
their finals,
It is.
you know, but
Boring finals. Let's be honest. I'm sorry. I understand that like the small market teams need it, but it's not giving.
it's
They
not
can. It's
giving.
just not.
It's not giving. It's not as exciting as the women's games. I think normalize calling the WNBA the NBA and calling the other NBA the MNBA. I think we switch it. I think it's time.
I love that. I think we switch it. Yeah, let's do that. We'll start that. I'm so here for it. I'm so here for it. But I'm very glad to have like put influence, whatever you want to call it, women's basketball into your life. I'm proud of
Oh,
that.
I
And it's
love
fun
it.
for me because now we can talk about it all the time.
I love it. I'm so into it. And I feel like I started being a fan at such a good time because the women are really coming out on
Yes.
social media and giving us all the content. They're giving us
So
all
many
of the
good
drama, all the
storylines.
stories, all the personality. Like, I feel like the NBA is so, or the MNBA, excuse me,
Absolutely.
is so boring because like they're so like rehearsed. Like it's almost like you can only read about them on like People magazine, right? Like that's their level of like wealth and stardom. And like that's fine for them. But like I love being able to consume the content for the NBA, the WNBA, just like on Instagram. Like they're making like videos, they're besties. I love it. Love to see it.
No, for sure. I think it's because NBA prospects, they're identified so early, right? And then they're like funneled into the media training and the brand of them from the time they're like 15 at the latest, right? Like they know that they're going to the league. A lot of them increasingly now have one or more parents, right? Like additional relatives who are in professional sports. And so they've got everything is curated, right? It's just, this is what you do. This is how you will show up. This will be your brand. Whereas in the women's game, there's still a little more flexibility. You can be a top prospect, but you might get cut from a team. You can be a sneaker pick or like sleeper pick, excuse me, and make the team. And what's the vibe going to be, right? You can end up on a different team and have a completely different presence, right? Letitia May here in Atlanta was on the bench after having a great college career. Now she's like kind of going back and forth with the Valkyries. And it's like, okay, this is fun. There's just more flexibility, I think, on the women's side right now.
It's more dynamic, I feel like.
Much more. Which is, yes, yes. And that's a great transition to our recurring segment. We're going back to this week in women's sports. As you said, a lot of good content, a lot of things happening on the court, off the court. What has stood out to you?
Well, one of my favorite things that I've ever seen in my life. So you know I'm a big Stewie fan. Love Brianna Stewart. Love watching her play. Another thing I love is Natasha Cloud being traded to the Liberty. She has added so much to that team, not only athletically, but in terms of the content she is making on social media. So Natasha Cloud has started a little Instagram series, What Bag Did Stewie Bring Today? Where she just showcases Stewie's designer bags that she brings to practice. And it is so funny. It's so funny. And also, Stewie has great taste in bags.
Really does. Excellent style from Stewie. Love it. And I have a lot of appreciation for Natasha Cloud. She was on the Mystics, my team, their 2019 championship run. It did take me like a full season to get over her leaving the Mystics, going to Phoenix. I'm glad she's at the Liberty, doing well. Seems to be a good fit. I'm only like 3% bitter about it now. Like I'm almost completely healed, but very excited for Natasha and that her platform is expanding and more people are getting to enjoy her humor. She's a great TikTok dancer too, I think. Like, very, what does the kids say? She's got a lot of riz.
She does have a lot of riz.
She's got it.
She does. Is that what the kids? Do we sound like old ladies saying that?
That's what the kids say. Speaking of one of our dear brothers, Quinn, we were playing Bananagrams. He used Riz as a word, like in his Bananagrams grid, and I was like, I guess we'll allow it. I guess. I don't know if that counts by the rules, but we'll allow it. Other content that I've loved, I guess it's been a couple of weeks now, but Courtney Williams and what is her name from the Minnesota Lynx?
Heidemann.
Yeah. Heidemann, yes. Like their bestie live show podcast, like hilarious to me. They tell great stories and they just giggle a lot. Things that are my, two of my favorite things. Good stories and giggling. The night before they were playing, I think, the Dallas Wings, they had Dejanay Carrington come on. And they were thinking about, I guess, Courtney Williams thought the Wings hadn't won yet. And Dejanay was like, no, we won one game. And Courtney's like, who did y'all beat? The Chicago Sky? And like, just an unnecessary strain. I think the FISA eventually was like, we beat the Connecticut Sun. And then Courtney's like, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I was like, how was there so much shade coming through when you invited this person into your live stream?
So funny.
But very funny.
It's so good.
Very, very funny.
Of course, we've got to shout out one of our favorite bestie hoods in women's sports, Alicia Gray and Asia Wilson.
So good.
So good. I love Alicia Gray playing in the A1s. Love to see it.
And balling out in them, having a career year in them, that's also very great, exceptional bestie behavior.
I really feel like one day you're going to have your own sneaker and I'm going to be able to wear it. So that's how I feel. It's not rooted in anything except for my deep belief that it's going to happen. So, yeah.
What would the components... Now you're making me think, what would the components of a sneaker for me? I need good sole support because my feet don't feel tired. I need ankle protection, support. So they've got to be a high.
Yeah.
Ankle support. I don't even know if they can have shoelaces. Shoelaces can be a struggle for me. So.
Okay, listen.
I need an alternative, like some fake laces, like the baby's kids, like baby sneakers you slide the foot in.
Okay. It's giving orthopedic shoe, but I feel like it's like orthopedic shoe that doesn't look like an orthopedic shoe. That's what it's giving. Yes,
it's like, who is it? Like there's an orthopedic brand, Dr. Scholl's or something. It's like a collab between Nike and Dr. Scholl's. That's the Sarájanée. I need to design that. If you're a sneaker designer, come talk to me. Okay, something that we don't love or we won't love. For the Indiana Fever, there's some content calling Caitlin Clark, Lexi Hull, and what is her name? Sophie Cunningham, Tres Leches. Like a play on Triple Espresso that Sophia Smith, I think she's Wilson now, Mallory Swanson, and Trinity Rodman did for the women's national soccer team. They called themselves Triple Espresso, and so now people are calling those three for the Fever Tres Leches, and I think that's all bad. I think it's really, really bad. I hate it.
That is a hate crime. I know that's not the segment, but that is a hate crime.
I think so. Right? Like, it's got to be coming close.
It's not giving. It's not giving. It's taking.
It is. It's taking. And to be fair, I don't know if they started at the team or just a fan. I don't know. Either way, it's all bad. It's really problematic. Part of me is like, we're a dairy-free podcast over here, or at least we strive to be.
Are.
So the leches, the milk, maybe there's something there, right? Because the way they've been moving is bad for the game. It's bad for the league. And so the rest of us are, dairy or lactose intolerant to their behavior, okay? But still, mostly I just hate it.
Yeah, I think that hearing that made me more lactose intolerant. I think... Why would you do that? Why would
Why would you do that? Like, just a general way that they're like carrying themselves, and the Fever is marketing them as like the core. Like, it's so clear what they're selling when they're on the Fever social media pages and websites. Like, the three of them, really? You've got a Leah Boston right there, also a number one pick.
Kelsey
I
Mitchell.
think Natasha Howard had a great game recently. I'm like, what are you doing? Kelsey Mitchell, right? And I'm like, you're going for the Trace Leches approach? Really? Y'all are like just going all in on this, like, blonde hair, fake blonde hair, by the way. We won't talk about that. Blue-eyed, like, thin, white, mediocrity,
Mediocrity.
image. And it's not good. It's not good.
We hate that here.
It's not good.
At Everything and No Less.
We really do.
We hate it.
We hate it. Make it stop. Make it stop.
Make it stop.
Mm-mm.
White ladies, get your anger under control. Didn't like it.
Rein it in.
Rein it in.
Rein it in. When that little brother, Favor versus the Connecticut Sun, so aggressive, such disproportionate responses. Like, JC Sheldon is Ohio State alumni, so maybe I have some bias there, but like, just gotta relax. Shout out to our crash out queen, Marina Mabry. She's consistent across the board. I will say that. They were trying to make her a villain against Caitlin Clark, but I'm like, if you've been here or you stick around for a while, Marina is of the anybody, anywhere can get it variety.
She's an equal opportunity.
She's all, like, we see her
crash out queen.
Crash out. Okay. She's not picking. She's not choosing. Everybody, all the time.
Everybody. She doesn't even care who you are.
Right. Her own teammates, opposing teammates, like, she's referees, officials, like, whoever, okay? So y'all got to leave Marina out of it. She's just not the one. She's not the two.
She's not. And I feel like she was like, if in the footage, she just like rolls up on the altercation and she doesn't even ask what happened. She's like, oh my God.
No. I honestly think that her response, she was like, I don't know what happened, but I see Caitlin yelling and making a face, and she's got to stop. It's not enough. Like, it's too much, excuse me. Cut it. And poor Tina Charles is over there actually coming in just to de-escalate. Talk about wrong place, wrong time. If you watch the clip, Tina Charles makes no contact. She doesn't even like come up or enter into the ordeal or whatever with aggression. She's like, hands up, relax. And I'm like, this is America in a nutshell. Here comes the black woman being like, everybody breathe, and just happens to be near the melee, which is an overdramatic term. It ends up with the technical. Like, it's wild. It's very wild. But good games coming up this weekend.
We'll wait. See.
No more undefeated teams. Very exciting. Hopefully Asia Wilson is out of concussion protocol soon. We need that. Hopefully. We need Asia back. We need Asia healthy. We still need more Asia and BAM content, please and thank you. It's really cool to see them. Not cool because she was hurt, but like they were at the suite the first game after her concussion. You know she was down bad. Being in the arena had to be awful. She's got sunglasses, like headphones on, sitting in the dark. But BAM is just sitting there with her watching the game, and I'm like, love that. Good man.
I love that. Sit
in the dark with your boo so she knows it's real.
I think he should have been blocking her from the camera. That's what I think.
Good point. There's always better.
There's always more learn. You can do.
There's always more. Exactly.
Okay, well, I think that's episode 15. It was a good one.
We did it. We're rocking.
If you liked this episode, share it with your long distance best friend. Thanks for listening.